What if I told you one of the biggest artists in the country just walked away from it all? The platinum records, the sold out shows, and the guaranteed bag to put on a college football helmet. Well, rapper TOOSII has officially enrolled to play at LSU, and overnight, the internet lost its mind.
Taking a 26-year-old rapper and bypassing JUCO talent.
What's cover one?
You 5'8" and you don't run a 4.3.
What we gonna do with you?
What are you gonna play?
Where do you fit in at LSU?
No, TOOSII got no damn badges.
And you got TOOSII, Bootsy, whatever the his name is on your roster, you are a mockery.
Listen, instead of arguing about it, I decided to put TOOSII in college football 26, built him from the ground up and dropped him into a real college program to see what happens when the music stops and the game begins. No shortcuts, no scripted outcomes, just a full career played snap by snap. Every rep counts, every mistake shows, and the game decides what's real. You see, what a lot of people don't know is TOOSII actually played football in high school, and after searching all over the internet, I found the tape. Back then, he was a pretty solid slot receiver with good hands and decent speed. Now, it seems like his route running was a bit below average and he wasn't very elusive, but he wasn't afraid of contact, and surprisingly, he came down with a lot of jump balls. As a multi-platinum recording artist, it's extremely important that you spend a lot of time in the studio, but also as a D1 athlete at a program like LSU, it's important that you spend a lot of time on the field. I was curious to see what TOOSII would make his #1 priority, and judging by his social media posts, it's definitely been football. In the videos he posted, you can tell he's already a lot better than he was in high school, but of course he still has a long way to go if he's gonna have any success on the college level. But that's okay because he's only a freshman. I took all the film and information I had on TOOSII, hit the lab, and got straight to work. I wanted to create the most realistic road to glory experience possible, and this is what I came up with. Now, of course, for this road to glory, TOOSII will be starting as an underdog simply because nobody believes in him, and a lot of people think this whole thing is just a gimmick. Now, this is the most important part of this whole entire journey, picking the correct archetype. I looked through them all. I weighed out my options, and I had to be honest. Based on the film, based on all the information I had, it only makes sense that TOOSII would be a gritty possession receiver. His speed and quickness isn't the best, and as I said before, he's not very elusive, and his route running needs some work as well. So this is what we got, man. This is the final result. As you guys can see, we got him listed as 5'8" and 180 pounds. I think in real life, he's probably about 165, but if we being realistic, him being a part of the LSU weight program, he's bound to, put on a few pounds. Anyways, we got him as a gritty possession receiver, and he's a 60 overall. Now, of course, this series will be played on Heisman, but I did actually turn up the XP sliders, so I'm still gonna have to put in work in practice, but we'll be able to, upgrade the two-star a little bit faster. So now that we got everything set up, it's time to drop TOOSII into the college football world. Now, I know you're probably expecting one of two things. Either he's gonna be overly good or overly ass, but I want this series to be as realistic as possible. So if and when he gets on the field, I'm gonna play within the offense. So that means no calling for the ball every single play or running my own routes. But yeah, enough talking. Let's get straight to it. The first game of the season would be a huge test versus the 7th ranked Clemson Tigers. LSU was on the road in Death Valley, the fans were loud, the stadium was packed, and TOOSII was ready to play. But unfortunately, he never saw the field. Yeah, he did not take a single snap in the game, and to make matters even worse, LSU actually suffered their first defeat of the season by only 2 points. After not seeing the field at all the first game, TOOSII sat and scrolled on social media, reading all the comments from the trolls and the haters. The chip on his shoulder got even bigger, so he decided to hit the practice field extremely hard with hopes of moving up the depth chart. But unfortunately, the next game would be exactly the same. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't be until week 7 of the season that TOOSII would even be able to challenge for the 5th receiver spot on the roster. Over the next few weeks, the coaches began to take notice of all of TOOSII's hard work, and they let him know that he'd finally get a chance to step onto the field week 10 at home versus Western Kentucky. Now, of course, after getting the news, TOOSII told all his fans and haters to tune into the game to see him play. Well, he finally get his opportunity at the end of the first quarter. He had a go route, and with the defense sitting back in a soft zone coverage, he called for the ball and ended up dropping it. I don't know if maybe the moment was too big or something, but the coach immediately took his ass out and he wouldn't see the field for the remainder of the game. It wouldn't be until the bowl game against 8-4 Virginia that he'd see the field again. With the season falling far below LSU standards and a lot of players either entering the transfer portal or just choosing to sit out, another opportunity would appear, and for the first time in a while, TOOSII would finally have his number called. It would come early in the first quarter with just over 2.5 minutes left. The quarterback sent him in motion, he had the flat route across the middle, and TOOSII was finally able to get his first collegiate reception. A few plays later, it was starting to look like he might actually get his first touchdown, but the quarterback decided to go a different direction. Nonetheless, LSU was able to score. Jumping ahead to the fourth quarter, TOOSII and every single receiver on the LSU offense was on fire. TOOSII saw he had the one-on-one matchup on the go route and called for it, but the ball was overthrown. LSU had a huge lead in the fourth quarter. They were right outside the goal line, and instead of running it, the coach decided to do our man a favor. He called TOOSII's number. The quarterback threw a perfect pass, but TOOSII dropped it. Now, of course, LSU was able to hang on and win the game, but TOOSII, he didn't perform very well at all. So after one full season at LSU, he appeared in 2 games and got 1 catch for 8 yards. He was given a few solid opportunities to make plays, but just wasn't able to capitalize. Now, although he didn't have much success in the actual games, he picked up a ton of experience on the practice field. So much so that he was able to increase his overall rating and move up the depth chart. At the end of the season, TOOSII had a lot of interest from schools all across the country. Now, the hard part was going to be figuring out if schools were actually interested in him as an athlete or just a publicity stunt. Well, after going through all of his options, he ended up deciding just to stay at LSU. I mean, he had already paid all of his dues and worked his way up from the bottom of the depth chart, so it all made sense. Over the course of the offseason, TOOSII got back into his rapper bag. Whenever he wasn't on the field running routes, he was in the studio writing music. Believe it or not, the time he spent away from the studio and playing football actually helped him free up his mind and become a better artist. His first live show was a sellout. Apparently, all the buzz surrounding his name for football transitioned to his rap career. I'll admit it was pretty dope seeing him up on stage, but of course we're all here to see him on the field. Going into his sophomore season, he'll start out as a 3rd receiver on the roster. So of course that means he's going to have a lot more opportunities to make plays. Not only that, but he was finally able to get rid of number 89, so he'll be rocking number 2 this season. The first game of the season would be against Clemson again this year, except this time LSU would be at home. There was a lot of buzz surrounding the team, so of course the stadium was packed. With TOOSII being listed as the 3rd receiver on the depth chart, that all but guaranteed he was going to get some playing time. You could tell he was a bit nervous, but he was more than prepared to go out there and make some plays. Well, unfortunately, just like last season, TOOSII did not see the field at all, and to make matters even worse, the coaches didn't even tell him why. Luckily, LSU was able to pull off the victory in the season opener, but TOOSII was pissed. After the game was over, he demanded a meeting with the head coach. He wanted answers, and quite honestly, I couldn't blame him. The head coach basically told him he was trying to look out for him. He said he knew how big the moment was and he didn't want him to get out there and embarrass himself. But he promised TOOSII that next game he would get significant minutes and just basically told him to be patient. The next game of the season came on the road versus Boston College. Now, earlier I mentioned TOOSII having a chip on his shoulder. Well, after not playing in the first game, that chip was even bigger. But credit to the coach, man. He actually kept his word and put TOOSII into the starting lineup, and on the first offensive play, he got his first reception of the season. West Virginia transfer quarterback Michael Hawkins Jr. actually got off to a pretty hot start, picking up 2 quick receptions. But listen, it actually came on 2nd and 9 a little bit later in the drive that he would go back TOOSII's way on the RPO. TOOSII would not only pick up the first down, but he would pick up a lot more. Now, that was his first big play of the game. Really the first big play of the career, but I promise you, chat, it was not the last. As a matter of fact, a few plays later on 3rd and goal, TOOSII had the crossing route and was wide open over the middle and got his first touchdown. With his first big play out of the way and his first touchdown already in the bag, I can start to tell that TOOSII was playing free. You know, he wasn't too much in his head. He was just basically in his bag, if I'm being honest. Like right here, the toe tap and catch to stay down and pick up the first down was beautiful. And then later on in the drive, LSU would actually pick up another touchdown on the ground. Listen, TOOSII was having a hell of a day. He was doing his thing, but it was this play right here that set the internet on fire. That catch actually ended up going viral, and TOOSII was back in the spotlight. Now, of course, LSU ended up picking up the win on the road, but TOOSII had an incredible day. The next week, LSU would be back at home taking on a 2-0 Missouri team. Now, if you look in the stands, you can see that they are filled to capacity. It's a lot of buzz surrounding this team, and not only that, TOOSII has gone viral. He got a lot of clout from that catch last week, but he also got a lot of hate. Yes. Of course, you know the doubters. They came up with their excuses. They were saying, you know, it was only one big game. It was versus Boston College, and they basically wanted to see what he was going to do this week. And as y'all can see, he's off to a hot start as he scores his second touchdown of the season, and he hit his dance. Now, I could be totally wrong, you know what I'm saying? But if I'm being honest, it's starting to look like TOOSII's becoming the go-to receiver in his offense. Like, this pass right here was extremely risky, but the fact that Michael Hawkins felt comfortable taking a chance, that actually says a lot. Anyways, on 3rd and 6, another huge bomb down the field moved LSU right outside the end zone. On the next play, they went with the direct snap to the halfback, and he walked in the end zone completely untouched, putting the team up by 17 points. With just under 2.5 minutes left in the first half, LSU pretty much had the game in the bag. TOOSII was actually on fire, and he was itching to make a play. Michael Hawkins actually looked his way on back-to-back possessions, and as you guys can see, bro, he did his thing. Oh my, listen, bro, that spin right there just solidifies how much work that man has put in. They were actually right outside the goal line, and I thought that TOOSII was gonna get his second touchdown of the game, but a risky pass over the middle resulted in an interception. On the second offensive play coming out of halftime for the Tigers, TOOSII had a go route. Now, y'all know TOOSII isn't really that fast. He's not a burner, but he completely burned the Missouri defense, picking up his second touchdown on the day. Not only was that his second touchdown, but that put him well over 150 yards. And of course, LSU was able to pick up the 20-point win at home. This team is looking good, man. The team was off to a pretty hot start. After beating Missouri, they were sitting at 3-0 on the season, and they just cracked the top 25. Now, the next game they beat home, taking on FCS Southeast, and of course, they were able to pick up the victory. The team played very well, and it seemed like they were starting to hit their stride, which was perfect because the next game would be a huge test. Listen, I wasn't lying when I mentioned this game being a huge test, and judging by the way the fans showed up, they know that it's one of them ones as well. As y'all can see, the Texas Longhorns, they're in Death Valley, man, and they want all the smoke. But hey, TOOSII and the Tigers are on a pretty good win streak as well, and both teams are in the top 25. Kicking off the game, TOOSII got to it early. They sent him in motion coming out the backfield, and he was able to get a beautiful toe tap and catch, picking up the first down. And then they ran the screen for him. Now, he wasn't able to do much on the screen, but you could definitely tell he was in that mode. The Longhorn defensive front caused a lot of trouble on 3rd down, forcing the Tigers to punt the ball. It would be on this play midway through the second quarter where all LSU's problems would begin. Quarterback Michael Hawkins Jr. would go down with the injury after a quarterback keeper, and that would actually go ahead and put Brandon Vance, senior redshirt quarterback, into action. And bro, it was just all bad. I'm talking about balls being underthrown, sacks, interceptions, anything negative you can think of. That is what Brandon Vance brought to the game. Now, I understand he is a backup, but a part of being a backup is being ready, and he definitely was unprepared. Now, I know he's playing Texas, but come on, bro, you on a D1 team for a reason. Anyways, now LSU did have a few highlights, like right here, TOOSII was able to catch the slant, moving the ball to right outside the end zone. On the very next play, TOOSII had a corner route, and he called for the ball. He was able to get a little bit of separation, but the pass wasn't the best, and neither was his foot placement. Of course, LSU went on to lose by 31 points at home. After the Texas beating, the entire LSU team was devastated. I guess the coaches knew that they needed to make some changes going forward, so they let TOOSII know that he'd have an opportunity to move up the roster to the number 2 receiver spot. Now, I know many of you at home are probably thinking it's way too early for all that, but if we're being honest, man, TOOSII has been the most consistent player on this team, and I'd even go as far and say that they might not have won without him. Now, of course, he went out there and did his thing and won the starting job, but you got to keep in mind, with this new position comes a lot more added pressure and, of course, a lot more expectations.